So I was on a train and I was heading into where we are today, and obviously it was actually quite crowded on the train this morning. Obviously because of the
sardines.
The Australian Open's on, so a few families and bits and pieces were heading into the city to enjoy the day and the sunshine. And there was a couple that got on from Box Hill. And you could tell it's summer love, young love.
Yep.
They just couldn't keep their hands off each other.
Lockie's got a girlfriend now, so he's being cynical about young love.
I've been cynical for many years now, Tim. Get it real.
He's an old hand at relationships now.
Ooh.
I mean, to be fair though, Lockie is a bit of a god among men. I mean, you know,
he is. He's got a six pack, but he hides it.
Well, no, he
with
thinks
fat.
I have to buy. No, that's only.
I'm joking.
That's only
He doesn't hide it.
That's only when I spend $19 on a six pack of VB. That's the only time that I have a six pack. But anyway, so
and
the
then
couple
it goes
got
very
on
quickly.
Yeah, but then he can go 8 to 12 times apparently. So like,
I thought we were going to leave.
He's talking about drinking. He's talking about drinking. You can go 8 to 6 drinks
8 to 6.
in an hour. Crazy.
Yeah, he drinks 8 and then he picks up 2.
Yeah. 8 to 6. That's the ratio.
It's all about stamina with everything.
Speaking of stamina.
Can I finish my story? Are you guys just going to bring back... Anyway, we're leaving last week's episode in the past, everybody. It happened. It's a new week. It's a new day. It's a new Lachlan. Let's go. All right. So this couple was on the train. I'm not joking. It took me a second to notice, but they wouldn't keep their hands off each other. Like, we say that, like, oh, it's so beautiful when they keep touching each other. They can't spend 1 second away from each other. But honestly, I'm timing them in my head.
Are you sure it was love and it wasn't just activism and they had accidentally superglued themselves to each other?
They
did they decide that like a Friday morning was a perfect time to just roll deep on the molly?
No, I'm telling you, they strolled in onto the train and
like
they couldn't.
great song.
Sad for them, they couldn't find a seat, so they had to stand. But that wasn't a big issue for the guy in the relationship.
How do they not find a seat? There's at least 7 in a carriage.
As I was saying,
I
Tim,
spy.
As I was saying Tim before, it was a busy day. People
a
going
lot
to
of
the
people
Australian Open.
can't see anything. Too many people.
So they started off with the classic hand wrap around the waist. You know, very solid. I thought that was kind of normal, but then I was kind of looking. My eyes just wouldn't peter away. I was just like, hang on. This is like 10 seconds now they've stayed in this position. And then I'm like, 15 Mississippi, 16 Mississippi. And then it's like, he's not letting go. And then he kind of switches positions, but he doesn't let go of the contact. He switches to a hand position. They start playing with their hands.
So he's still got his hand around her waist?
Still contact. No, contact
no.
in the hands, but contact has still been met.
It's like one of those things where you try and
separated.
draw a circle with a dot in the middle without your pen leaving the paper.
Oh, right. Continuous line drawing for those artists in the room.
But no joke, 52 Mississippis of them just drifting apart, but still staying in touch. But
I don't know what's weirder about this conversation, that happened, or that there was a man on the train watching them counting to Mississippi's in his head.
I was enjoying the greenery and the lustrous worlds of
the what it's called now?
Melbourne suburbs. But honestly, 52 seconds is a long time to be holding hands in a very cutesy PDA manner.
Not really.
Is that PDA though? Is holding hands public display?
It wasn't holding hands. It was like kissing on the neck, like a little bit.
Okay, no, see, now that's too far.
That's insane.
I'll give you that.
Kissing on the neck.
Like the guy, if you guys didn't keep interrupting me, I could get this to the story. The fact that he was dry humping her on the train, essentially.
Oh shit! Okay, all right.
Not like thrusts were happening, but like when there's
hold on. You can't say dry humping, no thrusting. Like there is absolutely thrusting involved in a dry hump. Like.
Do you know, like,
it's a grind. Horizontally or vertically? Okay,
it's a grind.
I'll give you that.
It was a
Well, yeah, the morning train
grind.
is a grind. But tell us about this couple.
Is that what Dolly Parton was singing about?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, was that her? Who does My Baby Takes the Morning Train? Who was that?
I don't know. Keep singing. You're great.
I performed it in
Keep singing.
My
release
Baby
it.
Takes the Morning Train.
Oh,
he works from 9 till 5.
That
and
was
then
you.
Comes home.
John, that was you. You performed it. You're the original artist.
It's just Inception.
Wow, holy shit.
Songs.
I am owed a lot of money in royalties from before I was born then. Holy shit.
Do you reckon someone's ever tried that ploy? Just like, I wrote this song in a dream, in a past.
All the time. The
past
copyright
life.
trolls. It's like a whole thing. Just Google
Past
it.
life.
Copyright trolls. Usually they'll get like 20 grand just because the band just wants you to fuck off and leave them alone.
Speaking about people leaving them alone, let's let Lochie continue.
Well, what I'm just trying to say, is there too long? Is there a certain thing as too much PDA? Because it seems like
there absolutely is, and like grinding is the limit. Like no, like a public, like we very thoroughly agreed in our society. Now listen, I think we tend to go a little bit too far in our society because our society is built on the notion of Judeo-Christian ideology, which is sort of like holding hands is too fucking far for them bastards. But like. I'm okay with holding hands. Like I remember I saw a really cute couple on the train a few years ago, and again it was young love, and they were just staring into each other's eyes as they were kind of like holding each other in an embrace on like a crowded train. I'm like, that's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. But if you're there being like, oh yeah, give it to me, baby. Oh, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Fuck yeah, Mama needs his morning.
I would argue.
I'm just saying I shouldn't have to be hearing the sounds of his lips. Pulling away from her skin. I just shouldn't have to be hearing that at 10:30 in the morning.
Look, anything that you do in a bedroom as a precursor to sex is a no-no.
I just thought it was amazing that within 52 Mississippis they did not lose contact with each other at all.
I would argue.
That's what I'm saying. Like the couple that I saw who were just in an embrace. Like that's
These guys, they were moving. They were like conversing and talking, but they wouldn't. Like it was complete flirtation.
They were just having a regular conversation. Like, did you see Jimmy around the water cooler the other day? Oh yeah, I know, right? Oh man, fuck, I'm really close. Yeah, and right? How about that, Jimmy?
And there's one guy that's sitting a little further away. Do you guys mind? Seriously.
And that other person was Lochie.
Taking my friend to see Roger.
I would argue that too much. Yeah,
I want to see two grown men grunt at each other loudly in an arena surrounded by thousands of people. I don't need you two grunting at me at 9 o'clock in the morning.
It's too close, too visceral.
Pint Party, a podcast designed to turn a beer into chat into a tax write-off. I'm your host, John McLeish, and joining me this week is one member of the gimmick gang, Lachlan Beasley. Lachlan, welcome.
I'm a solo member today. We're going to do great.
He's got a gun. Guys, get down. He's got a gun.
And joining us once more is our very special guest, Pint Pal Timmy, welcome.
I'm wearing the Pint Pal skivvy. G'day. It's one skivvy. They give it to the one guy. If there's two Pint Pals, we have to share it.
Yeah.
We have to wear it like conjoined twins. It's gross.
It's really annoying when it gets lost to the dry cleaners and then we have to order another one.
And it's wool as well, so it's itchy.
That's
gross. But it'll keep you away from bushfires.
But Tim, last time you were here, it was episode 19.
Was it? I don't listen. Great.
Awesome. Mate, I make the shit and I don't even remember.
I looked it up today. It was episode 19.
Ah, cool. What episode are we on currently?
We are 33.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're steady but sure.
Bro, Road to 50 is where I'm at.
Road to 50.
Road to 50.
The Mad Max movie that never came out.
Yeah.
Road
no.
to 50.
That's the movie after Fury
That's
Road.
The next
Road
one.
to 50.
He's just old.
Can I even make it to middle age?
It's Logan, but it's Mel Gibson, OG, Mad Max going, I'm so old and these cars are so rusty and Thunder Road.
That's where we're at.
Thunderdome, Thunder Road.
I tell you, well, you go, John.
Oh, just talking about this public displays of affection on the train thing, like, like I said, I think what you were right. Like, you're absolutely right. That's too far, right? But at the same time, like, I want to also say, like, I've seen some weird shit on the train. Like, I remember this, like, I was on the train once and like there was like I was sitting down and directly across from me, right, is an old guy who's sitting right across, right? Proper old bloke, like probably in his like 80s, right? That's cool. Gets on the train. I'm like, whatever, you're doing your own thing. Pulls out a magazine. Well, I mean, you're 80. It's like, okay, yeah, all right, get it. Print media is like your thing. It's Penthouse.
Is that a house magazine or is that a porn
new
magazine?
edition, or has he got like a vintage?
No,
is Penthouse porn? Penthouse is porn.
One from when he bought when he was 30. He still uses it.
No, it looked like he'd just come back from the newsagents and he just bought whatever the latest edition of Penthouse was.
That's porn, right? That's porn magazine.
Yes.
No, but he reads it for the editorial.
Right, of course. What else do you read it for?
He turned it sideways to read it for the editorial. And he unfolded the page. There's an extra page you got to fold out.
And then he got off at the next station in a hurry.
The worst thing about those extra pages is that you always try and fold them back in, but the magazine never shuts the same.
Mate,
in a way, it's almost a metaphor.
Flinders Street to what did I write it to? Clayton. And when I got off the train, he was still reading it. So like he was having a grand old time.
You might know the answer to this. When was the time that magazines started using the secret kind of section. You know how Cosmopolitan have like the
before we were born.
Yeah?
Yeah, they were doing that. Yeah, no, was it Cosmo?
Cosmo Kramer.
No, I think, Cosmopolitan, I think, started it. I know that they did it in, like, Dolly magazine, because I remember my sister used to get Dolly, and there was the sealed section. And honestly, they were like,
sealed
it's
section,
too...
that's
And the worst thing
it's
about the
too
sealed
rude.
section is there's
It's
no
like,
seals.
There was no... It was fucking
No
boring as
seals.
fuck. It was just like, okay, here's all the shit you need to know about menstruation, because you're fucking 13, and nobody's going to teach you this shit. It's like, it wasn't really that,
It was like a health benefit, really.
Yeah,
Bloody
mate,
helpful.
They should have been like, hey, you should show this to your brother who is the proud owner of a penis, who like doesn't know shit about any of this, right? Because they might learn a fucking thing.
Not his penis. He owns another one.
No,
It's in a fish tank.
No, I
keeps
don't.
it,
No,
and
no,
It's
no.
on
look at
loan.
it.
It's on loan.
No, I keep it in a safety deposit box in a Swiss bank. Thank you very much.
Pretty much. They're like, as they're doing spring
treat
cleaning,
myself.
they're doing spring cleaning. They're dusting all the boxes. They're opening them like, money,
Just
money.
just avoid
Huh.
the GST on that
Penis.
one. Keep it in Sweden.
That's that I do. Yeah. I want to avoid the dick tax. Fuck, because they'll get you every single time.
It's worse than herpes. Gets everywhere and you can't get it out. Even if you get it out, you can't get it out. I don't know how herpes works.
I tell you, just to kind of drift away,
I went
this
to a
kinda
Catholic
This
school.
kind of still keeps
I didn't get sex
into the
education.
world of human behaviour.
Right.
I watched Kenny last night.
Oh shit.
For like, I hadn't seen
That's
Kenny
a
in
toilet
years. So
guy.
for
Shane
people-
Jacobson's starring role.
Yeah.
It's a film
he's in
in
everything.
2006 that came out with Shane Jacobson, and it's a documentary style about a plumber that plums
He
toilets
just
for
loves
festivals and all this
plumbing
kind of stuff. But he's a slight
shitholes.
philosopher as well.
Yeah.
And
No,
you know-
he's the shithouse philosopher. Like,
Yeah,
that's-
he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Honestly, I forget how good that film is, and thinking about it now, it really does kind of show just the true virtues of the classic suburban man at that time.
But for me, that's like it's like a cornerstone of Australian cinema, because I hold it up there with The Castle.
Yeah,
Like, for me, they're in the same genre.
I don't like The Castle.
The Nugget, The Castle,
Yeah.
Kenny,
Yeah.
and there's one more I can't quite think, but
Yeah.
there's another film there that are kind of like we'll say the trifecta of Australian films.
If that is the trifecta of Australian films are shite. I bloody hate The Castle. I think it's terrible.
Oh my god, what?
I don't think it's that good.
well, it's like the suburban drama
exactly.
comedy kind of.
It's
realm.
it's the characters are maybe all right, but like it's not a good movie. It's a good example of suburban life, perhaps.
Well, it's a strong
And-
commentary of like a large amount of the population of Australians at the time.
Exactly,
Yeah,
but I don't think the jokes land, and I don't think like the jokes there, but I think they land. But then there's a lot of silence, and it's just the pacing of the movie I don't like, and it's just.
okay. No,
And
yeah.
really, it's almost like I have an opinion, and I'm expecting you guys to, I'm trying to enforce my opinion on everyone, but yeah, I just don't like it.
Oh, I mean, that's
Anyway.
just you, Tim. Though. So like, I wasn't.
I'm cool.
I didn't realize you were trying something.
No,
I was just like,
don't
oh,
like
Tim's
it.
being Tim.
Yeah.
Right. Hipster Tim. Of course, he doesn't like
Yeah.
the popular thing.
Yeah, I
Right.
drank coffee. Yeah, that's right. I didn't drink any beer. I'm not a pint pal. I'm a caffeine kid.
That's a good one. I was
G'day,
struggling. I was
g'day.
like, what do we call you if you're not a pint pal? Caffeine kid works. That's a good one.
It's like
Caffeine.
a shit cowboy.
I was going to call you a latte lad.
Oh, latte lad.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Lit
Right.
latte lad.
Yeah.
G'day.
No, but like the Kenny, fuck, it's
Cold
a good
brew
movie.
brew.
Well, it's
Cold brew.
I think it does. It really does commentate.
It does commentate very well.
Make a comment on.
It does make a strong commentary
But yeah,
about.
Kenny is a good film.
I think it does. Obviously, the fact that he doesn't look. He looks at his job as just a job. He doesn't really take anything more than
Yeah.
what it is.
Well, he's a man. He's a man who works to live.
He does,
Right. He's a man who works to live.
and it's that strong virtue of family,
yeah.
work, and leisure time.
And he's
for
doing
him, it's boxing.
He's doing
And
the
it's-
job that aside from him actually being an actor, but the role of Kenny, he's doing the job that no one
One
wants
else
to do
can,
that we
yeah.
all need.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
We all need
He-
garbos. We all need people who clean up the shit. We all need people
Well,
who
that's it.
process
He is
shit.
the Dark Knight that we need.
Yeah. No.
We
that-
don't
that-
want him, but we need
For
him.
me, that's really what the core premise of
Fortunately.
Kenny is. Is it's sort of like, especially in 2006, like this is sort of like we're coming out of the 90s and everybody's sort of like white collar work is where it's at. You have to get it if you want to succeed in our society, you have to wear a suit, work in an office, and fucking sip on lattes in
Works
on
for
Burke
me.
Street, right? And Kenny comes along and says, now, hang on a minute. Like, in order for any of you bastards to even function, because you'd all be running around covered in blood, shit, and piss with dildos up yous all day without us blue-collar buggers running around cleaning up after you. You need us. You need the working class. That's what it really is for me, is a comment on, like, you need a working class within your society. You can't forget them when you advance your civilization forward.
It's interesting when you look at it retrospectively.
Which is a
now
big
as
comment
well.
for a movie that spends
definitely,
2 hours making shit jokes.
If you think about it now, like back then, they were thinking that like, if you do a blue collar job, you're obviously not going to turn out successful in life.
Yeah.
But these days, if you look at it, most tradesmen these days would make a killing, and especially Kenny if he was the one that owned.
Definitely. But I also think
raking it in.
I also think coming from the 90s, but also like if you look at so just advertising, right? So like there's these great two advertisers called Mojo. They did a lot of the classic Australiana ads. Come on Aussie, come on. That's theirs. They did Still Call Australia Home. That's theirs.
Shit.
They did tons of great work, right?
Wait, didn't they also do the
they did,
Carlton Draft ad?
Yeah, they did. They did the Tuies as well. Like I feel like a Tuies. I feel like a Tuies. I feel like a Tuies or two, right, or whatever. So they did great documentary on the ABC with the Russell from Gruen transfer or whatever. Anyway, but like, so before, the 80s around, using or before even the 70s, using the kind of Australian accent on TV, the cobber, g'day, that stuff, you didn't do it because you had received pronunciation. And then, you're moving into the 80s and the 90s, you're seeing more Australian voices on TV. And so really, like, just the idea of Kenny and of the working class, I think Australia, in the sense that the majority of people live on the coast and the majority of people work those, work white-collar jobs kind of thing, even though there's a lot of tradies and stuff, Australia's got this fetish for the working class, and Australia's got this fetish for the rural and this fetish for, sunburnt land and stuff. And I don't think that's a new thing, and I don't think that'll ever go away because it's in our art, and that's how we market ourselves to the world, that we're all battlers from the bush who, clean up shit, who don't work in banks. But,
but the truth is that's actually who we are. We work in banks.
Exactly. And so you're seeing a lot of kind of movies now where it's like looking at Australiana as different than the white guy with the paunch that, is the tradie kind of thing. And so it's like you needed Kenny to get to where we are now, because Kenny was in itself a reaction to and a progression of ideas from the 90s kind of thing.
Well, see, the thing is that, like, it's an Australian film for Australians. Like, what it is that, like, it doesn't market to the world, it's all about the working man, real crocodile Dundee, that's not a knife sort of stuff. It's like, no. It's an Australian film
for Australians.
Highlighting Australia's attitudes towards other Australians.
And like in using the mockumentary format, it only heightens that, because it's like, this is for you.
Yeah, because if you look at if you watch the film,
you're looking at yourself.
Well, that's what it is, because every single person Kenny interacts with that isn't a member of Splashdown, the company that he works for, looks at him and talks to him with disdain, including his own father. Like, everybody in the film. Right, his own brother is sort of like, "What the fuck are you doing here in your overall?" Mate, I just came from work. I wanted to say hello to my brother. Right, and
on his birthday.
Right. So, I mean, all that kind.
I can't introduce you to people looking like this.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I just came from a job.
I just came from work. Like, you just came from work. You're wearing your work clothes. Like, what the fuck? Right, and then like, and then they go out into the bush, and like Kenny's right at home in the bush. Right, and then the brother's like, "I'm fucking sick of this shit." Calls the cab. Which, by the way, my uncle, no shit, actually did that once. No shit. So he was working in car sales, and like they were having this big. They had this like they got the upper management got it in their heads. Oh, we need to do a team building exercise. Oh, I know. Let's go out into the bush and we'll go we'll go kayaking and shit. So
in
they
the
take
bush.
all the staff. They take them all out.
What men do.
Yeah.
Just
right.
This kayak isn't working. Yeah, because you're in the bush.
Yeah.
Go to a river.
They went. That's what I mean. They went up the bush into the rivers and stuff. I can't remember where exactly, but they went out back and beyond.
Somewhere
and
in the
so
bush.
they were out there and they're all doing all this stuff. And like after I'm not like about half a day, my uncle was like, "Fuck this shit." right? It's sort of like I'm the best salesman in the entire team. I sell more cars than all of you cunts combined, right? If you want me, right, I'm gonna be back home. And he literally called a taxi from in the middle of the bush, got in a cab and went home, right? But he could because he was the best.
Fair enough.
Right. But like,
make it
I did
statement.
scouts for years. The bush is
when I saw that in
shit.
Kenny, I was like, oh shit, like you
would-
too? All right.
I would. There's a point that I would. This might be a bit too not philosophical. That's not a word, but this might be a bit too philosophy bent for this audience.
Honestly, we
But,
needed after last week.
Yeah, no. This week is kind of like the Hangover.
But with
you know what I mean?
the-
Like we did the drinking, we went out and we got really crazy.
My head
Now it's like,
hurts.
oh, what am I doing with my life? But so Kenny, right? So like, because I've never actually seen Kenny. Closest I've come to Kenny,
Are you serious?
my grandmother had a copy of it, and every time it would always be
Yeah.
on the like front of
Do you
the
know,
TV
that
cabinet,
was-
and I
that
would
was
just
me.
walk past it, going, huh.
That was me as well until last night. I was looking at it on.
Wait, you never saw it until yesterday?
Not really. No, I seen parts of it.
Yeah,
but,
I watched.
I'd
I
never
watched that
sat
documentary series
through.
on Channel 9.
So
where he
what I
went
did was I was just like,
international.
I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sit down and watch Kenny. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
actually
yeah.
going to do it. And man, it was so worth it.
Oh,
Well,
God,
I'll give it a watch, but like just because my point was that so it's like the way you're describing him and the way you're describing events within the movie. A lot of people, are seeing him as a tradie and are seeing him as one who deals with shit as a plumber, going, oh, pull your finger out, do actual better, meaningful work, and I was kind of and so. In this current climate that we're in economically, there's a lot of people doing side hustles. There's a lot of people doing different kind of jobs, freelancing, not working in one job. And it's almost like the invention of the internet, the invention of the side hustle, if you will, is
Destroying the 9 to 5?
Well, yeah, but has also destroyed the disdain that people look at tradies with, because in a way, the majority of people are tradies
Well, the idea
because
of the
everyone's
cashy
working.
has become.
Yeah, everyone's working jobs that they probably won't stay in. Everyone's doing temporary gigs to get money, kind of thing. And even like, accountants are tradies now. Designers are tradies. Most people, the animators are tradies. People who do podcasts are tradies. Like everyone's kind of working gig to gig.
Because what is a
And-
tradie? It's
Exactly,
someone who
right.
does a trade.
Exactly, right? And so it's kind of democratized that idea of the craftsman. And if everyone's a craftsman, you can't look with disdain at another craftsman,
Yeah,
It's a bit of that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think there is a big part of that. But I think a big part of it as well is sort of like after with sort of like this sort of realization within our society, like not everybody can do white collar work. Not to mention like the global economy kind of went down the toilet, and so it's sort of like there aren't any jobs anyway.
Which is probably another factor within
Yeah.
the gig to gig economy
There's
as
part
well,
of that
right?
too, but also there's a realization that like even when the world, like even with everything going to hell, people still need toilets getting fixed. People still need houses to be built. People still need sparkies, brickies, plumbers,
Hairdressers,
like everybody,
it's just kind of...
yeah, it's that's what I mean. Like all of these,
Yeah.
like all these jobs still need to get done, pretty much no matter
Well,
what.
it'd be great seeing like a disaster movie, like an apocalypse movie, a zombie movie, and like the main character dies from like dysentery, or they die from like a toothache, or they can't do anything because their hair's too long, or or it's like, fuck, we got to move from this base because all our toilets are clogged, or like.
I mean, that was what that.
But
that-
like-
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of made that joke with they took their entire like working class. There was a planet. And they got everybody in their like working class, but all of those people, and they put them on a spaceship and sent them off into the universe, right? But as a result, the people on the planet all died from a plague
Right.
caused by a dirty telephone,
Right. Okay.
right? Because they didn't have that in
Because
their society.
there's another joke in Hitchhikers where it's like they got all the idiots and they put them on a ship and they sent them to a different planet, and that planet turned out to
That's
be
the
Earth.
same. It's the same joke.
Oh, right,
That's what I mean.
okay, right.
The people who put those
Yep.
people on the ship, though, they all died from
Right,
a dirty telephone.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
fuck.
That's what I mean. So that kind of joke
Yeah.
has been kind of done. But you're right. I think fleshing
it's,
that out into like a 2 hour
It's
movie, I
it's
think
it's the it's the Voldemort argument, killing all the Muggles. If all the Muggles are dead, if all the mudbloods are dead, who's going to do the menial work? It's Hitler killing the Jews. If all the Jews are dead, who's if you believe that someone is under you, beneath you, who is going to do the work that you deem beneath the work that
I see what you mean.
kind of
Yeah,
thing?
yeah,
Like
okay,
if you get rid of those people, no one's going to do that work. So it's just. it's illogical. As soon as you get those steps,
Why remove a layer
you know,
when you've got that layer?
exactly. Like it's just
It's
not
assuming
to
it's a
say
layer
that
at all.
fascism is logical. Not to say that being a dictatorship, emphasis on the dick, is logical.
Yeah.
But it's just
No. There's absolutely like in all these things like the thing like one of the things you shouldn't do is ever is like underestimate evil.
Oh,
You know what I mean? There's absolutely a logic to it. The logic is just fundamentally flawed, is the thing. But like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, assuming that it's a layering thing, it's like, no. You need those. In fact, you need those people in your society. They are just as critical, if not more critical, than like, the guy who fucking does data entry, right? Which is probably going to be me soon, because like, it's like those are the jobs I'm looking.
And then
for.
AI takes over, and you're like,
Yeah, and you're like, god damn it, robots.
damn.
Right, but even with robots, like, I saw they've got like an automatic bricklaying machine.
Right.
It's like a thing. It's like super early. It's like ridiculously expensive.
What's the robotics company that's like changing everything up? It's
Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, Boston Dynamics.
Yeah. So they're working on stuff too. They're not doing this bricklaying machine thing.
Now they do ones like they can climb
Yeah.
boulders and
Walk
things.
and walk,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. They're doing all kinds of crazy shit. But like the thing with the bricklaying machine though is that even though it can do twice as many bricks in a day than a human can, it can't do them accurately. So
Right.
you still need, and not even that.
And it won't put the cigarettes in between the cement and
Yeah.
the bricks.
And that's what you need.
No, it won't do that. But you still need a human to like feed the machine, and you still need a person to like. It won't lay out any grout. Like you've got to do all the grounding yourself. So like all
Lazy.
Worst bit. Ugh.
well, no. At that point, all the automatic bricklaying machine is a conveyor belt.
A stacker?
Yeah, it just brings the bricks to you at that point. Well, and then it will actually put them down, but you've got to like do everything around it.
But it's like a lot of people believe that machines will replace them, and in some jobs, yeah, I believe
There
will be that, but a lot of the time it'll just be working in tandem with the machine. It'll be a partnership kind of thing, and that's
Oh yeah,
that's how
there
it's
was a
always been.
census done that I saw on Patriot Act on the Netflix political show.
yeah, with Hassan Minhaj.
Yeah.
Yeah.
good.
They did a census about what jobs would be taken over by AI, and they said realistically, the only job that can be probably saved and done by humans only is a psychiatrist.
Yeah, yeah.
Like everything else will most likely be AI or automated.
That's
at some
creative
point.
jobs. So like you'll still have and that's the
Well,
thing,
you
like,
don't think
the
there'll be a
arts-
machine that'll be able to write the next Shawshank Redemption?
No,
Yeah.
it will be, but when it comes to when you think about it, it's like you'll still have like you'll have Robbie the robot writing Shawshank Redemption 2 Electric Boogaloo, but then you'll also have right next to him Quentin Tarantino the third, who's written Once Upon a Time in Reno, Nevada, right? It's
Once upon a
Electric
time
Boogaloo,
in the
right?
Netherlands.
Like that's what I mean. So those creative
Swedish
jobs, I think,
cops.
will still be there, and ultimately, like that's where our society is really headed. Like everything that really anything that requires rote learning is just going to go.
a lot of data entry, a lot of research positions. Like they did.
I think research will be a huge expansive area for a lot of people.
And but even like in a lot of processes that we use, we don't realize, but we
R&D
use AI.
generally.
We use just like in general, like you go on Photoshop, you use like I forget what they're called, but you can like it's automated and you like press a button and it does a thing to. It does actions,
Well,
we've got
I'll give you an
actions in
example of
Photoshop,
that.
and those are automated. We've got,
I can give you an example of that. I was using AI last night. So I started teaching myself Blender,
Right.
it's 3D
Yeah,
modeling
it's-
software, and I was following a tutorial on like basically we were making a donut.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, is that Blender Guru?
Yeah.
That
So I was
playlist is
following his
good.
tutorial, and he's great. Like he's
And
he's
he's Australian too, which is really nice.
He's a bit awkward, but he's all right.
He's a Blender Guru. Of course, he's awkward.
Yeah. So I was following
He
his
sits around and makes 3D renderings all
Of
day.
donuts. Of course, he's awkward.
And part of the final step of like the first stage of the tutorial was like doing the final render.
Right.
But when you do the final render, it looks a bit shit because it looks a bit grainy. And that's just because of the way the rendering engine works.
Yep.
But the way to fix that is with there's like a plugin that comes built into Blender now. It's called a denoiser.
Yep.
And it uses AI to like scan your image and go, okay, here's where all of the noise is and here's what's around it, and just kind of fills everything in.
Even just
it looks good.
text correct. Like when you're going, I want to, you're saying you went to CAM and it's like, oh, did you mean can?
Yeah.
That's AI.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's really simple. It's simple. It's in everywhere. And so a lot of people don't realize that we're inundated with all this artificial intelligence, but we are. And it will just be that. Yeah. But automation, AI is just one step ahead of automation.
What will be the industry, do you reckon, that's going to be the first to be fully automated?
Maybe accounting?
No, manufacturing.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Easily. Like, it's almost already there.
Is logistics would be to do logistics completely automated.
It still requires you to nail self-driving,
Yeah.
which hasn't been nailed yet.
Tesla's getting close, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, not even Tesla. Like, there's another company in Europe. They just did a drive with an
Isn't
automated.
Hyundai or Honda getting really into it
I've
as
no
well?
idea.
Maybe
ignorant.
I know Volvo's getting.
Volvo's
no,
getting
not
into
Volvo.
it.
Shit.
Volvo's getting into
Love those bickies.
No, who's the
Love a
Renault?
Volvo.
They're getting
Renault.
into eco
Was it
cars.
Volvo?
Volvo.
No, was it Volvo or Renault who were doing? They have a level 4 autonomous vehicle, and they were driving it around in France. Shit, is that Volvo or is that Renault?
Sounds like Renault.
It might be Renault. No,
Because
yeah.
Volvo's doing eco cars. They're getting really into electric.
Yeah, this one was like, it's like a concept car. Like,
Yeah.
it cost them like $8 million to build. But the point is that's their like test car.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. But anyway, there's another company, and they've got a self-driving truck, and they just did a delivery from, I think it was the Netherlands or Denmark, and they drove across the top of Europe up into England. Right. So you go down down through.
Is that
Denmark
through the
into
dangerous highway one? Or
No,
is that
not in the slightest. That's all. It's a fucking
Right.
beautiful drive. It's pretty flat all the way. It's just long. It's the long ass drive all the way to Calais, up through over the Channel into England is what they did. But that was recently. That was like not long ago. And then there's another one. There's an American company that's gearing up to do another similar type of a thing across from California, I think, to Arizona. Which is not particularly far, but it's like that's like a shitload of driving.
Honestly, that's probably a good place to do it though, because of all the straight roads.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Like.
I think it's when you're dealing with highly congested areas with lots of turns and curvy areas and mountain regions is when self-driving cars, I think, is still not quite there yet.
That's why I really think the next step for self-driving cars has to be going to like England specifically and going into the little villages there and trying to get like permits and stuff to do self-driving. Because a lot of like, there's a guy I watch on YouTube, and he's got a Tesla. He's a big Tesla fan. I can't remember the name of his channel off the top of my head, but like he does a lot of like the self-driving like autopilot testing stuff. And especially like I remember watching him recently because there were like changes to the law and it meant some weird shit was going on with his autopilot. But like you look at like a lot of roads, like not even that far outside of London, right? Like he was like just kind of in the outer boroughs of London, right? And there's a lot of like really like weird corners and stuff like, because it's all like villages from like 1,000 years ago, and it's like now you got cars there, right? It was all designed for horses and carts and stuff. And
even the towns themselves, they're like everything's stacked on top of each other, and then you've got this road that doesn't go anywhere, but you need to take that road so you can go here.
That's
and
right.
It's insane.
And as a result, though, but also
Untravelled.
because there's like so many of these roads and they're not super looked after, right? Like the paint on the road's a bit gone and stuff like that. So like for a car to figure out where it is, it has like that's the kind of the ultimate.
Does it utilize GPS or is it just a camera?
It's a camera. Well, it depends. So Tesla's one is optical recognition.
Right.
So basically,
Surprised Google hasn't thrown their head in there with like
they've got one. They got I think they call
It's called Steven.
No, what's the name of Google's self-driving company?
Wouldn't they just use Google Maps and just kind of
relay
everything through that?
So Google's one does a bit of both. So Google, I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a V, I think. It's Vinny or something. Oh, shit, I can't remember. It starts with a V, I think. Somebody can Google it. If you just Google self-driving company, it'll pop up.
Instead of self-driving cars, it's a wonder we don't have self-driving trams, kind of thing, because it's stuck on a route.
They're working on that.
That would.
It makes more sense.
All it needs to do is know how to stop.
We seem to be obsessed with making light rails and things like that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they're working on self-driving trains. Like we've got some here in Melbourne, even. Right.
Really?
Yeah, they do a lot of freight stuff, like moving stuff from the docks around. But like, and then getting that into trams though, you need to is like infinitely more complex because you've got cars and people and bikes and stuff. You've got to figure all that shit out.
Bikes are so complex. I've said it for years. Bikes are the most complex things in the world.
Yeah. But
Gears
like the way Google's
war.
one works is Google's one has GPS
Right.
with LiDAR, it's called. So basically it shoots out a laser and the laser bounces back into a sensor and from that it can work out how far away things are.
That's what the sensor says when the laser bounces back. Yeah, it's in my eyes. It's in my senses.
Yeah. Is
God.
that Google driverless car?
No, that's an iPhone.
Waymo, that's the name of the company, Waymo.
Waymo.
That's it. Yeah, and it's like basically it.
Waymo, dude. Totally tubular. Fuck, man.
They're in Arizona, and the way that they're testing their car is they basically run it like Uber. So if you wanted, if you're in, I think if you're in,
Hey, you want to get in this car that might
if you're
kill
in
you?
Phoenix, Arizona, you get the Waymo app, and if you want to, you can order a Waymo just like you'd order an Uber.
Perfect tagline.
And
out of the way, Waymo.
yeah, and a self-driving car pulls up to your house, you get in it, and it drives you off to wherever you want to go.
The haunted.
And because Phoenix, Arizona is like
Haunted.
basically built on a grid, that's where they're testing a lot of their self-driving car
Right.
stuff, while at the same time making money.
Apparently, they have 10 of these lidars.
Yeah, they got 10 cars.
Do they have 10
It
heavies?
cost the company spent $75,000 for each lidar system from Velodyne. I think that's what you were thinking of, Velodyne.
Yeah, it might have been Velodyne.
As of 2017, that cost was down approximately 90%
Yeah.
due to Waymo designing its own version of lidar.
Yeah. And a
Obviously,
lot
it was a licensing fee.
What about heaviers? Any heaviers? Because it sounds like light.
No,
That's the
but a lot
joke.
of companies basically copied what Google was doing. Like, even then, I shouldn't say that. Google bought the company that was
Right.
working on it, and everybody copied that company.
Right.
But Tesla is doing something completely different. So Tesla, in fact, Elon Musk just straight up said this, was like, well, LiDAR is stupid, is what he said. And his argument being that LiDAR is stupid on Earth specifically. LiDAR is good if you're like the Dragon capsule, the one that they just recently tested by like blowing the fuck out of a rocket, right? That's got LiDAR on it. And it uses LiDAR to line itself up for docking.
Okay.
And it's great in space where there's basically where like, where you're in darkness. It's like, yeah, it's cool because you can like you can
Send
ping,
the laser,
you can
So-
ping a photon and you know where it is.
I just Googled Tesla versus LiDAR, and the first article that comes up says researchers back Tesla's non-LiDAR approach to self-driving cars.
Yeah. So Tesla's approach is basically their philosophy is, well, humans can drive a car without LiDAR, right? We don't have a built-in LiDAR system. We're not
Wait, you
shooting-
don't have one? Oh, God, I got to get that checked out.
Yeah, you should. You really should. We're not like shooting photons out of ourselves and then like waiting for a bounce back. Our entire system is all about like basically absorbing the light that's already there. And so Tesla's like, well, we're just going to do the machine version of that, which is a camera, right? So you have a camera and you use machine learning to do image recognition, and from that, and there's no GPS involved at all. Right? It's all just like this, like again, because humans don't have a built-in GPS, right? So basically just using already existing infrastructure of street signs, traffic lights, all of it, the car should be able to drive itself around.
Would then in that kind of mentality, would dolphins be the lighter version of?
No, because dolphins use echolocation, sound.
I've got a tangent to cut in here just
Yep.
for a bit. A person that I was talking to on a dating app was going that dolphins, because they're smart enough, they probably they could have an underwater society, like
That's like a
with
that's,
economics.
That's,
but
that's
then
what Joe
I
Rogan-
fired back, no, they couldn't because they don't have thumbs. Right? They're intelligent, but like without thumbs, they're fucked. Because opposable thumbs allow us to do so many things, and you could be the most intelligent person in the world, but if you don't have opposable thumbs, you can't lift a hammer. What the fuck are you going to do? You can lift a hammer maybe, but you can't hammer. You can't hold a nail.
Dolphins existed for hundreds of thousands of years and lived peacefully without single-handedly fucking the planet.
Because they don't have thumbs. Because they don't have thumbs.
But so the argument there being
thumbs.
though is opposable thumbs are net good. Like
thumbs are a blessing
do
and
we,
a curse.
Do we think we're better than dolphins because
I think I do.
we built houses?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
that is
all
my
right, fair
argument.
enough.
Yes.
All right, that's your argument. Fair enough. But no, you're absolutely right. Like dolphins,
Anyway,
and they've got
it's thumbs.
we've figured out like dolphins have their own names, like unique
Really?
sounds.
I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
that.
They've got names.
They have dialects of
That's
like
sick.
regions. And
Oh, they got
stuff.
accents. Yeah, regional accents.
good if there was-
So do whales.
No, great.
Apparently, like
Whales have it. Apparently, it's more. Apparently, you get away with it a little bit more in dolphin communities, as I know. but
You know,
apparently,
the dolphins, they don't care as much, but whales, they're
Well,
racist as.
Dolphins are some freaky fuckers. Like they get, they're like.
I've
they
heard
get
about
into some
dolphin
shit.
rape. I know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, have you ever?
Dude, dolphin necrophilia is a thing.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Is
They'll-
it
they'll-
is it necrophilia if you fuck a skull?
No, they'll
Is that necrophilia?
They'll like kill an animal and like then root it.
If you have sex with a skeleton, is that necrophilia?
yes,
Yes.
But like, I feel like necrophilia should only count if there's flesh involved, because otherwise it's just bones, right?
then you just boning.
Like,
I guess.
like I don't do it. He looks shiftily.
I feel like you're trying to justify.
Right,
something
he is
here.
like, please look at me. Please tell me this is okay.
yeah.
It's fine if it's just the thigh bone, right? That's fine. That gap between the bones.
As long as you do it for less than 52
We were doing so
seconds.
well
52 seconds,
staying
great.
philosophical and highbrow. with
I
everything.
thought your regular audience might be a bit confused.
No,
That's
no, no.
right.
We no.
Just-
we did
like-
need our regularly scheduled dick joke. Like,
No one
absolutely.
said penis in 15 minutes. Is this?
What am I tuning in for?
What is happening?
Yeah,
Oh
what's the damn
no.
You don't know what our fan base sounds
I
like.
don't know.
We don't know what our fan
I'm
base
not-
sounds
yeah.
like.
Yeah, I've no. Yeah,
I just think Casper the Ghost.
Yeah. But like, okay, well, let's go highbrow. 'Cause- So Timmy, apparently, so Lochie was telling me before you came on today.
We're
he was
gonna be
like,
surprised
You,
how-
you've got something like
rather
literature
gonna be
related
high.
you wanted to talk about.
Is this when I said we could talk about books?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
what I said?
Yeah.
I literally said that to John.
right.
He's taken what I've said out of context.
Okay, cool. I've been reading
Look,
books
I-
lately.
Do you
I
want
can
me to,
talk
do you want
about
me to bring
those.
up literally what you wrote? I'll bring it up. Hang on.
I read.
Let me fire up.
I may have said something like, Tim's going to bring something about books. I was like,
I've read a book recently that was great. The next Miss Peregrine's book, great book, shit movie.
Here it is. Here it is.
That was fun.
I feel like he's gonna come him with some literature banter. So be prepared.
Like I've
Then
got
I swear, did I correct myself? I swear.
No,
Damn
no,
it.
you didn't.
a book with me that I'm reading.
Oh,
Currently.
you've actually brought a
shit,
prompt.
you
It's,
even wrote
it's
the book.
by Lynn Murphy. She writes a blog called "Separated by a Common Language."
I
It's
read the
called
blurb?
"The Prodigal Tongue."
Yeah,
it's
right.
about British English and American English.
Oh, okay.
She's a American woman who teaches English language.
The English language is a
at
beautiful thing, but
a
it suffers
university
under
in
relentless
England.
assault from Americans
Yeah.
who want nothing more than to corrupt the mother tongue.
But
That's
like,
the blurb on the back.
it's a
Holy
really it's a really interesting kind of analysis of changes in language and etymology, and of course you can view it, I guess, through the lens of like, oh, Australian's kind of like American, we've got some words, but really, like, so there's this interesting. She appears, the author of that book appears on another podcast that I listen to called The Illusionist. Illusion, ALLUISIONIST. Great podcast. So after you're done with this one and the back catalogue, check out that one. Really good. But she appears on that, and they talk about how a lot of what we deem of as American English words and English words aren't actually American English words and English words. But when computers first used word processing systems like Word, we had to go, this is the American spelling of this, and this is the English spelling of this. Whereas if you look back hundreds of years ago in England, you'll find the American, and I'm saying this with quotation marks, spelling of something used throughout rural villages, right? And so to spell colour with one O instead of an OU, that's deemed as American, but really that's also a Britishism. And it's almost like language changes from era to era because unlike Latin, it isn't a dead language.
Yeah.
And
oh,
yeah,
absolutely. It's a
really
living
interesting.
language. And like, I mean, part of it as well, like, I feel like that absolutely makes sense up until a certain point in history. Because then you've got like Webster who came along and basically codified the American language and was like, this is the definitive way of spelling and pronouncing aluminium.
And you can't change it.
It's
You can't change it.
Webster's a dictionary?
Webster's New World
Right.
Dictionary, yeah.
So-
which is like the American dictionary.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But interesting point about dictionaries, right?
Yeah.
Dictionaries aren't actually rule books. A lot of us believe that dictionaries are rule books.
Yeah,
Dictionaries are just recordings of words
just
used in
curating
printed
all the
matter.
words.
Yeah, it's a museum for words.
Yeah.
It's that these words appeared in the American lexicon. We're going to put them in a book so then people can find their meanings because I believe, I can't remember.
of reference.
I can't remember the exact thing, but there was a disease for the longest time that wasn't put in to the dictionary, and so people didn't know. So doctors didn't know how to spell it. So there was like 7 different spellings for this one disease kind of thing,
Yeah,
and
right.
different definitions for it because people were like, well, it gives you sneezing, but it also gives you coughing. So what do we say? Or we say this version gives you sneezing, and this version gives you coughing.
Surely,
Right?
though, a medical
Right?
dictionary would be different from.
But so like
general.
you'd have a lot of people that would like find out
looking-
what they have, and
This is
but
before
even
Google,
because it's like
obviously.
Yeah.
like the doctors, they among themselves know how to spell it, but the reporters reporting on an outbreak of it don't know how to spell it, right? So they look to their dictionary, but the dictionary doesn't have the right version, right? So what do? You know, it's very difficult. But so it comes back to that idea of it being a living language. I don't know. It's all very
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, and for me, that's always been the argument. Like, I see a lot of people, and they're like, "Oh my god, English is like, oh, I fucking hate people who use like text talk and shit." And it's sort of like, well, hang on a minute. Like, English is a living language. It is a language that is constantly changing and evolving. Like, my dad goes apeshit at me for like saying "y'all."
Yeah.
Why? Which is like,
It's an Americanism.
It's an
if you
Americanism
will.
for you all,
Yeah.
right? But like, first of all, the English language has constantly stolen from everywhere.
Yeah.
That's just what the English language is,
Yes.
right? It's like we just beat the shit out of other languages and take all the good bits.
Like,
Second of all,
an
and then
interest-
further on to that, the Australian language just
butchers it.
adds an extra step where we beat the shit out of a language, take all the good bits, and then shorten it.
Like I've
and
got
add O to the end.
like
Or
there's
easy.
two interesting ports. One from English just taking language. So if you've ever looked at meat, like animal meat, and so it's like venison, and then it's like deer, and it's like why is it different? It's because the French version is it when it's a dead cut. So venison is French, poultry is French, beef is French,
Yep.
but the living animal is English, and that's because. When the Norman invaders, they were French, and so only the upper class could eat the like meat, but the villagers had the livestock, right? So that's why the borrowed terms for the like product that you can eat is French. But then, interestingly enough, Australia taking language, you've got a lot of Australian isms of French words coming back from the diggings, coming back from World War I and World War II. Uru, a classic Australian, saying to say goodbye. That's just a brutalization of au revoir. Kind of thing. It's
Oh, wow.
it's really interesting that a lot of Australianism is just that, but you chop off these things, or it's mocking, or it's.
Yeah, right.
I was reading something the other day, but I can't remember it. But it's I think bint is that's actually like, and the English use that as well. But that phrase came from Egypt, right? I can't remember the exact context, but we've got a lot of our words and a lot of our slang is actually derivative of other words and other slang. And
Yeah,
it's
right.
it's all interesting.
yeah, that's
Do
what I mean,
yourself
like,
a favor
yeah.
and open a book.
Get into linguistics. Have a read.
It's
Yeah.
really great.
Oh
it's
shit!
great stuff.
Linguistics is an interesting interesting thing if you ever look into it. But like, the living language thing, is always infinitely fascinating. Just because like, I mean, for me, my argument is that it's constantly changing and evolving, and like these things are just going to happen.
It's the Shakespeare stuff as well. Like people
That's
say
it.
that Shakespeare made up words, and now if you've ever encountered a year 10 student in an
Yeah.
English essay, they go, "But Shakespeare made up words. Why can't I?" And the English professor will go, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
But like, really, everyone
yeah.
should be able to make up as much words
Yeah.
as they want.
Yeah, which happens all the time. I mean, I feel like a big part of our language just on this podcast is like we use words like I mean, Lochie, you're a member of the Gimmick Gang. It's sort of like, I mean, I feel like that word hasn't only sort of came into being in the 20th century.
What's only become a thing in the past 6 months, I would say.
What,
John.
gimmick or
No,
gang?
no, gimmick, no.
Well, the term gimmick gang is a.
Oh yeah,
as
yeah. Within
Gimmick
our
gang, gimmick gang,
context.
gimmick
Yeah,
gang,
that's what I
gimmick
mean,
gang.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
Gucci
kinda
gang.
That's
Yeah,
kind of
gimmick.
Don't say it too many times. You'll be giving out little pump royalties.
Yeah. It's like Beetlejuice. If you say it too many times, someone comes for a check.
If you analyze the audio, I didn't say gimmick gang. I said gimmick gang.
You're just saying Goomba over and over. You just really love Mario
Goober,
Brothers.
goober, goober.
I'd rather give Nintendo royalties than a little pump, and I'd rather give no one royalties at all. So
Don't sue me.
goodbye.
Please don't sue me.
I'm but a student.
Yeah.
We've done okay today. Well, Kenny,
I think-
in general, I think Kenny's a fantastic movie. If you
I'll
haven't
give
seen
it a shot.
Kenny,
I'll give it a shot.
it doesn't just tell a great story about
How
a
many
man who
plunges out of plunges would you give it?
I'll
Mate,
get
5 out of 5.
Oh, 5 plunges out of 5 plunges.
well, yeah. He said when there's,
How many
when there's a
S-bends
blocked
would you give
toilet, you lose that 5th plunger.
That's why you always gotta have
Yeah,
5.
you have a 6th one with you just in case.
He's got like a Rolex dealer coat, and he's just like, oh, which plunger do you want to use today? Bloody this one.
I just
In his left breast pocket.
I think it's a really good commentary on general labour and the jobs that even in Australian culture we look to and say, oh, I can't believe you do that for a living. But the character they've created for the film does a great job in explaining the lighter side of blue collar jobs and the real shit work, no, kind of a pun intended, that is involved in some day-to-day people's lives.
But it's also about like the people who do those jobs. Like white collar workers seem to have this idea that they're all like, layabout bogans, and it's like if they weren't doing that, they'd be dull bludgers, like fucking smoking weed all day and just like, and driving their fucking Tiranas. And it's like, no, they're ordinary people who, like, this is a job they do so they can get on with doing other shit. Like, it's like Kenny loves his job. He really does enjoy his work, and that's ultimately, if you should find something you want to do and
That you're passionate about, for sure.
right?
That's a.
But he lives a fucking normal life. Like, he has his he's got his kids, and he goes boxing, and and he watches a bit of telly. He's just an ordinary bloke. Like, he's not out there. Like, if he wasn't working as a plumber, he wouldn't be a menace to society.
No.
Which seems to be this idea that, like,
They
if they
keep
don't
pushing.
work,
That's the thing. The external characters in the film constantly push that feeling towards it, that animosity towards.
Yeah. And that's the whole point of the film, though, is to show that that's all bullshit, right? That's kind of the whole point of the film. Well, at the same time, doing so with a layer of, like, bum and fart jokes, right? All the way through to... do you know where the premiere of Kenny was? Where the world premiere of Kenny was?
Was it a toilet?
No. It was in Poowong.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Victoria.
great.
Yeah.
That's
I think
great.
that was on the news. Yeah.
And this was right as the town were considering changing their name.
Yeah.
So good.
After the premiere, they went, no, we're not going to change our name.
We're
We're
the
Poowong.
Classic.
official premiere of Kenny.
We
It was
had
the
Kenny here.
museum.
It was like all the stars, like Shane Jacobson and like all the stars. Shane Jacobson's brother, Shane Jacobson's
That
father.
plunger.
They all came out, right? It was like a whole thing. They had a red carpet and all of it. Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
seen Brother's Nest? I haven't seen it, but that's
Nest.
no, it's a new one, and it's Shane Jacobson and Shane Jacobson's brother. And they, I think they murder a person, and they have
really?
to get rid of it
That's
or something.
it's
kind of rural.
It's like I got Breaking Bad vibes from it.
Yeah, from the poster at least.
Yeah.
I haven't
Dark
watched
in
it, but-
tone, or is it more
I
light?
think it's
No,
a
yeah.
mix. I think it's kind of dark, but like it's the classic Australian.
black
Yeah.
Australian comedy.
We
yeah.
killed a guy. Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's kind of
What do we do?
It's more like black humor.
Yeah.
Yes, we go to Bunnings and buy some gloves and shovels first.
What did they do in Breaking Bad? How do you dispose of a body? I don't know.
Yeah, that was in the trailer, I think, where the two brothers like, we got to kill this person. Well, fuck, all right. How do we do that? Right?
It's like,
It's
oh,
like,
shit.
I'm a Sparky and you're a plumber. Like, how the fuck are we gonna we're not.
It's
we're not
actually a
fucking
sequel to
assassins
Kenny.
here,
It's just, it's like,
It
ooh.
kind of
Kenny,
feels like that.
12 years later,
Yeah. Kenny in the dark universe.
where things go bad.
Yeah.
Plumbing's not what it used to be.
Yeah. There's only so much shit you can take before you start dishing it out. And with that, I think we'll leave it there, though.
Yeah.
I think this has been a good one, right? This has been like a nice sort of like palate cleanser, right? After last week,
We just
by the
smashed
way-
vodka last week, and now we're on a wine.
Which,
We're
by
on
the
a
way,
nice, smooth wine.
Like, for the most part, I actually really thoroughly enjoyed last week's episode. I really did. I have no problems. I have no.
I'm
like,
just.
I have no
But now I
qualms.
know. I don't tell David everything. I don't explain all my opinions with David anymore because you're just going to throw it in my face. So
That's what Dave
He is a
does.
lawyer.
he's
Like,
a lawyer.
yeah,
you are right.
That's his.
I'm learning from my mistakes. He's letting me grow. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
David,
Exactly
if
what
you're
you
listening,
say
and I know you're
about-
listening. I love you.
But like at the same time though, you kind of apparently you grow 8 to 12 times in an hour. Like what the fuck?
He was exaggerating. I feel like majority of men exaggerate when they talk about their nether regions.
So you reckon what we got to do is take that 8 to 12 and like what, divide it by 3? And you reckon? That's
I reckon he's probably like 6 to 7.
I am in the room, but okay.
I think
You're talking like I'm not here, guys.
I think we just got to look at it and say he can definitely do one, and that's good because some people can't do any. And he can definitely do one, and he can probably do 2.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks you for really putting this into context for me. Thank you.
We're all the same. We all shed tears. We all jizz our pants. We're all the same.
And on that note,
oh my god, yeah. And if you like this episode, please tell a friend about it. We're on Spotify. Please, hit that follow button on Spotify. It really helps us out a lot. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes and leave a review if you like this episode or any of the other episodes. Please, leave a review and let us know what you liked. Tell a friend. Check us out on Instagram at pint.party. It's a good little Instagram. Sometimes we post some silly pictures and things. And with that, this has been Pint Party. Cheers.
cheers.
Au revoir. Uru.
For fuck's sake.
This is a Heart Effect Network podcast. Find us at hearteffectstudios.com.au.